Good afternoon. We're sitting with Andrew and Joe Bottone of Bottone Home Inspections, and the home inspection is the most important part of the home buying process. This is Joe and Andrew. How long have you been in business?
I've been in my own business since 1970. I started a building and remodeling business at that time, and approximately 8 years later, someone asked me to take a look at their house for them, and then another friend did, and it kind of blossomed out from there, and I've been inspecting houses since the late 70s. Andrew came to work with me 2005 after he finished college, and between the two of us we've inspected over 30,000 homes.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of homes.
Can't remember everyone.
Now, do you have to have training? A lot of, what goes into it since you just joined in 2005?
Well, yeah, when I was in high school and college, I worked for different construction companies. I grew up with a father who was a builder, so I've been around it the majority of my life. And then I did an apprenticeship with my father for about 9 years. For about 9 years, he wanted me to really have it down before he let me out there on my own.
That's great. The home inspection, who do you actually work for? Who do you work for?
We work for the buyer, and solely the buyer, and when we supply him with a report, it has to only go to the buyer according to our code, CMR 266. And with permission of the buyer, we can give one to the realtor, which is normally accepted by the buyer. They want one to go to the realtor.
Yeah.
How much does it cost?
It all depends on the square footage of the house. The bigger the house, the more it is. Typically, a normal house is $350.
Oh, that's very reasonable. That's very reasonable. Should a buyer call a home inspector instead of a general contractor, or their uncle or their father? You know, should they really do that?
Well, it seems as though everybody that we've run into in the past, and they bring them along as a contractor, you probably know more than they do, but they're an expert and they're trying to impress their good friend or their daughter or their granddaughter, and their father's the same way. It's a lot better to get an independent person looking at the house, and if so, leave the family and relatives at home for that time, because they're giving them a lot of information that doesn't really comply or go along with the house. They're more interested in they're paying how much for this house, because they've lived in their house for 30 or 40 years, and are actually detracting from what we're trying to tell them and point out.
What goes into your report? What type of report is it?
Well, it's a written report that people get within 24 hours to 48 hours. Covers the roof, the siding, the gutters, everything on the exterior. On the inside, the foundation, the floor, all the mechanicals, plumbing, heating, electrical, floor joists, main carrying beams. Then we work our way up through the rest of the house, bathroom, kitchen, and then we go up into the attic. Check fireplaces, and we also include pictures in our reports. All the reports have pictures in them.
That's quite a lot. Does the home buyer go to the home inspection?
Most of the time, yes, unless they're working, they just can't make it. But it's a good time for the buyer to be there,
Yes.
to learn about the house, and usually we point out to them what they should be looking for as far as their mechanical systems go. Not so much to repair it, but in case of an emergency, what to shut off, what to do, and in that normal operation and maintenance. Yeah.
Yes.
So they're going through the home with you,
Exactly.
Yes.
step by step.
Yes.
You don't mind that they're following you around
No,
or
not
asking
at all.
questions or
We
anything
want
like that?
them to.
You want, that's great.
Yep.
Now, typically, do real estate agents go? Do you find that out? Who's there, generally speaking?
Usually the The buyer's agent is there. With your company, the seller agent's always there, but a lot of the times with other companies, the listing agents are not there.
We think it's important to be there, whether we're representing the buyer or the seller, so we think that's really important to know what's going on.
We do too, because that way they're getting feedback right away. Yep.
Who does that report belong to?
Port belongs to the buyer, the one who paid us. And as I mentioned earlier, we can't give any information to anybody else unless we have permission from the person paying us. And most of the time they say, fine, it's okay to send to my agent.
The buyer's agent.
Yeah.
It's all good information. Can a buyer or their parent call you after a home inspection? Do you often get questions afterwards?
We do, and our buyers can call us, but we can only talk to the actual buyer. Even though their parent may want to ask a question, they're under state code. We can only talk to the buyer, the person purchasing the home.
Would you ever tell someone not to have a home inspection?
No.
Never. We have found irregularities on brand new homes that were inspected by the cities and towns, and there are deficiencies in the code, and there were code violations. So anybody who's buying a house, they think it's fine, always spend the money.
It's worth every penny.
Yep.
Yes. It's one of the biggest investments of your life. It's well worth it.
Absolutely. I'd like to thank Joe and Andrew Bottone for coming today and sharing their wealth of knowledge with us and giving us a great insight to the home buying inspection process. I think it was a wealth of knowledge for us, and thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for asking us.
You're more than welcome.
Look forward to seeing you on our next sale.
Good.